Now, advance warning for you. If you're about to do the school run or if you've got little ones in the car, just be warned that over the next couple of minutes there might be some slight right language coming up. There's a very specific reason for it, and it's a very valid reason as well. It's nothing too much to worry about, but I'd hate for you to get surprised by little questions coming in your ear hole from the back of the car. That's because Elaine Eaglestone, who's a locally based author, has just written a book, and its title is Kick-Ass. Kick Addiction. It's a very direct title, it's a fascinating title, and it does enough grab the attention. Let's find out why. Elaine, welcome to the studio. Why have you written a book called Kick-Ass?
Okay, I've written the book because I've had 17 years experience of actually living with a heroin addict, and I felt that I could help others, so I wanted to actually write it in a book and basically get it out there to help people who are suffering from addiction.
So this isn't a book about people who've got addictions themselves. It's about, and we often talk about people who are affected by somebody else's condition, whether it's a disability of some kind, whether it's Alzheimer's, something like that. You're aiming this book at people who have to live or whose lives have been touched by other people with addictions, not themselves necessarily.
That's correct. The book is actually aimed at families, mums, dads, brothers, sisters, partners of people who are actually living with someone who has an addiction.
Why did you feel the need to write the book? Are you looking at it from a carer's perspective? Are you writing it because you don't think there's enough support out there for people with addictions? What made you want to do it in the first place?
Okay, yes, I felt that there wasn't enough support out there. However, I did actually use a local charity called CAN, Drug and Alcohol Team in Northampton, which I found very helpful. But other than that, I didn't find that there was a great deal for families as well as the people that are actually going through the addiction.
It's interesting. I was reading the first page of the book, and what really caught my attention in the first instance is acknowledgements, and we'll come to that a little bit later on. Did you know that there are an estimated 2 million addicts in the UK, according to Google? That was as of 2011. Statistics from the National Statistics Agency for Substance Misuse in the UK show around 306,000 heroin or crack cocaine dependents during 2010-2011, and that's just in England. Adults in contact with treatment services, just under 205,000. Only 28,000 adults completing treatment had no further dependency. That's a telling story. And the number of under-18s accessing substance misuse services was just under 22,000. Those are quite astonishing figures, and they're obviously bang up to date, being as they are right at the front of your book. So you're setting out your stall in terms of why carers and why addicts need help. You talk about drugs, and specifically cocaine, heroin, those kinds of hard drugs. Does the book and the way that the book work for any kind of an addiction, not just hard drugs?
Yes, it does. I also mention alcohol within the book, as obviously that is another main addiction.
Those figures would truly be horrendous, I would have thought.
But it can work for any addiction. I mean, you know, some people have addiction to gambling and such things, shopping and so forth.
So any kind of addiction, the process that are in the book?
Yes, it's primarily writ for drugs and alcohol, but yes, it would help any addiction.
Your credibility for writing this book is a very personal one. You lived with somebody, you've lived the life of somebody whose life has in turn been touched by a drug-dependent person. I think it was heroin, wasn't it?
That's correct, yes.
Tell us a little bit, if you would, about what life was like for you, given that it then takes you to the point of being able to write this book, and with complete credibility, because you're not a doctor, you've lived through it. You, to a degree, I suppose, you're still living the experience. Yes,
my experience is far more personal than being professionally qualified. You know, I don't have a PhD in psychology, but I do have a PhD in life. So having lived with 2 children as well, going through the experience, the lies, the stealing, the pain, I just wanted to share my experiences and hopefully help others.
Are you therefore saying that people should expect that kind of lifestyle will befall them if they are with somebody who's got an addiction of some kind? Or are you offering a step-by-step approach to dealing with addiction and beating the demons that go with it?
Yes, certainly it all does go with addiction, those sort of things. But yes, I am offering a step-by-step guide to basically rebuild self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth, and getting to the root cause of the problem.
Does it have to take a long time? Does it naturally take a long time?
Yes, I mean, I'm not going to say, read the book and you'll be clean within a week, because it does take a lot of time to actually reprogram the brain. And in fact, I talk about the subconscious mind in the book, the way that you can actually program the subconscious mind to actually lead to the conscious mind through autosuggestion. And that basically then helps the mind to actually have a completely different pattern.
Now, this is where, again, I go back to the fact that the book is aimed at people who are not necessarily addicts of any kind themselves.
Yes, but it is to work with the addict.
Exactly. So are they meant to be an extension of other forms of support? On the back of the book, and let me throw this at you directly, the book is invaluable to anyone who has a drug or alcohol problem, or if your loved one has been to rehab and didn't last, or just for a refresher to stay on the road to recovery. You say there, why go to rehab when you can do it all at home? Are you suggesting that people shouldn't follow professional advice and going through a professional form of rehab?
No, I'm not actually saying that. But what I am saying is funding is very scarce for rehab these days. It is very expensive to go to rehab, and most people just don't have the sort of money that's needed to go to rehab. Therefore, some of the techniques that are used in rehab are in my book, so therefore you can work with your loved one to actually overcome the addiction.
So this is as much a call for additional services as it is a way of self-help in that case?
Yes, certainly.
And that's from your own personal experience?
Yes.
You mentioned Can.
Uh-huh.
Can helped the person that you lived with who had a heroin issue and an addiction. How did Can help you as a person?
OK, I felt that I needed somebody to talk to. It was quite hard to talk to family and friends about the situation that you're in. So just actually speaking to somebody that you don't know and being able to offload all your worries and concerns is just so much of a good help. And I don't think I would have got through it without their help.
So how are people meant to do that if they've got a book and nobody else to talk to?
Again, I would suggest it does suggest in the book to look for local support groups and national support groups and actually use the book as well as those.
In the writing of this, have you simply put down your experiences and thought, right, somebody else might benefit from that? Or has the book been, I'm going to mix metaphors here, has the book been vetted by the medical community? I mean, what's their reaction to what you've written?
Yes, I have had professionals in the field of addiction read my book, and I've had nothing but good reports from it. They think it's a brilliant source that people can actually refer to. Because, for instance, sometimes when you have an appointment, that appointment is a set appointment. You may not be able, when you're feeling down and you need, something to pick you up, you're not necessarily going to be able to speak to that person at that time. How's
somebody else's addiction affected you as a person? Because you were with this person, you've been with this person for a long, long time. About 2 decades, I think, if I remember rightly, from reading bits and pieces. How's it changed you as a person? You don't have the addiction. You didn't have the addiction, but it's impacted on your life. Yes, it has changed my life in immense ways. And in fact, I have learnt great lessons from the 17 years ordeal that I actually went through. And I've come out the other side a better person. And now I'm able to help others as well. And how about the person with the addiction in your life? Where are they now? The person with addiction, we're no longer together. But we are still great friends, and he is actually going to be working with me on some of the seminars that I plan to run in the future. And obviously he is the father of my 2 children. We kind of fell out of love with each other, but we still are great friends. And therefore he's finding something positive through obviously his experiences with you. Is he going through formal rehab? Has he gone through formal rehab? Yes, he's actually been to 2 rehabs. He's been out of rehab a year now, and he is actually running addiction groups down in the south. So it seems as though a step in the right direction, many steps in the right direction, being reflected in the book. How long has it taken you to write this? It's actually taken me 4 months, but many years of research, but actually pen to paper, it took 4 months. Kind of research on the job in that case, yes. Given what you're talking about. 4 months isn't long. You must have locked yourself away in a room, because it's a weighty term. There's a lot in it. Yes. There's a lot of subject in it. Did you have to edit it down? I mean, there's a lot of anecdotal stuff in there. I mean, did you feel as though you were laying your own life out there in the writing of the book itself? I did, yes. And in fact, there was times when I was writing it when it was quite emotional. I have had a professional editor edit the book, and yes, some of it was taken out. So, but that's its final form. And what about family and friends who perhaps read advanced copies? What's their opinion of it? They're very supportive of me, and that they do think that it's brilliant. Where do you go with this now that you've produced this as a book? Is it going to be the start of something? Is it in fact the end of something? Is it something where you've managed to put your demons and your experiences down on paper so that somebody else can benefit from your experiences? Have you now dealt with something, packaged it up and put it away? Or are you going to continue with other books and other work?
As my last chapter suggests, is it the end or the beginning? Yes, it's the end of a scenario for me, but it's also the beginning because I actually plan to do seminars and work with people and do one-to-one coaching with people on a 12-month programme, of which I have got professionals in the field of addiction to help me on that.
Sounds like you've been on a journey, but you're now changing direction and continuing the journey in a different direction.
That's right, yes.
The book comes out at the end of this month, 30th
of March, yeah.
Available on Amazon. Is it going to be stocked anywhere? Will you be doing any book signings or anything like that?
Yes, I'm actually talking to Waterstones and WH Smith right now. So they're just actually reading through the book and they're going to come back to me on stocking it in bookstores, and I have said that I will do book signings for free.
Now, you said that this was an emotional experience in terms of getting the book together. Do you feel happy reading it? Do you look back on it and think, actually, that is my life? And actually, when you come out of the process, if you work on mindsets and building self-esteem and how families and friends can help with what would otherwise be the formal rehab process, do you feel that you leave the book on a positive note? I know you haven't finished the work, and I know you're now heading off in a certain direction. Do you feel positive about what you are leaving with the public?
Most certainly. I want to help others. It's my mission to help others. And yes, I feel that a positive experience has come out of a bad experience.
And one final question. Why kick-ass? Why kick-ass, kick addiction? I mean, I wonder, when we first saw the title of the book, I thought, is that something to do with the film that was written by Jonathan Ross's wife? Clearly it isn't. But why kick-ass?
Well, I know it's an American theme, but I felt that it was a punchy title. It needed, to have pizzazz to actually grab the people looking at the shelf. If they see that title, they think, yes, I'll have a look perhaps at the back of it and see what it's about.
But dealing with addiction, not in any way, shape or form an easy path, not an easy road to take. We've perhaps sat and debated the story in terms of, you can deal with it at home, you don't have to go to formal rehab and so on. It's a long, hard grind, and it needs everybody to work together to help someone beat their addiction, whatever kind of addiction, as you were saying earlier on, that addiction turns out to be.
Yes, most definitely. It isn't an easy path, but I will say to families that are in the situation right now, the book will help. So, yes, I do say to go out and buy it.
Kick-Ass, Kick Addiction. It's the offering from Elaine Eaglestone, based here in Northampton. Releases on the 30th of March. You can get it from Amazon, and a fascinating read.
And can I just also say, you can follow me on Twitter at @EEaglestone, and on my Facebook I also have a support group, so you can follow me on Facebook, Elaine Eaglestone, and the support group is Kick-Ass, Kick Addiction, where you can actually have support on Facebook.
Good to have you in. All the very best with the book. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.